Okay, well, this is going to be a very inspiring piece, okay? It is now a true pleasure to introduce an aspiring airline pilot, Dieudonne Kazzembe. I've met him several times. I've heard him speak several times. This is quite a story that you need to hear. He was born in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Dieudonne lost both his mother and his father before he was 3. Obviously, dealing with adversity at a very young age, as he developed in the midst of that kind of turmoil, as you can imagine, a dream of becoming an airline pilot. At 2019 graduate of Cardozo Education Campus in Washington, D.C., Dieudonne is studying for a bachelor's degree right now in applied science, aviation, at the Arizona State University. When he was 5 years old, he and his surviving family members relocated to a refugee camp in Uganda, where they stayed for 8 years. In 2014, in what he describes to the Washington Post as a miracle, Dieudonne was allowed to come to the United States as an unaccompanied refugee minor. He's a 4-time scholarship recipient of the Aero Club Foundation of Washington, which is where I had first met him, which ALPA is extremely proud to support. We've been supporting the Aero Club for years and years. Dieudonne is using the scholarship to pay for flight training at Arizona State University and is close to receiving his private pilot license right now. I had the great pleasure of meeting Dieudonne virtually when I addressed the Aero Club of Washington earlier this year, and I've had several conversations since that to relay ALPA's continued support. He is an inspiring, very inspiring speaker, a new aviator. Please join me in welcoming Dieudonne Kazzembe.
Good morning, everyone. It has been my pleasure to be here. I'm tremendously humbled to stand before you today. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the President for a very big invite. I could not believe when he invited me. I was thinking to myself, how can the President of a big association invite me to this? But hey, I'm happy I'm here. It's a privilege. It's a privilege. When I walked into here a few days ago, I saw tons of people, a lot of pilots that I ever seen before, and all of them had a tag that said LPA member, and I was fully assured that this is real. It's a privilege to be alive and feel alive. And I was reminded of this yesterday morning when I attended my oath ceremony to become a U.S. citizen. This is a country where dreams can become true. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is a country where dreams can be turned into reality by anyone. And it goes without saying that it's a privilege to be an American. Today is the first day. Well, since yesterday, this is the first 24 hours for me to call myself an American. And I'm really happy. Thank you. The few days I've been here, I have met so many people in the aviation industry, people who have accomplished so much and inspired me to work harder and achieve the same goals in the future. Being here with you all means a lot more than I could express through words. Today, I'm dressed up in a nice suit, and I have a mic before me, and I can speak. And I'm standing before great individuals with positions where I aspire to be. But if you rewind the clock just 8.5 years ago, all this seemed impossible. Standing before you is a man who has faced a lot of difficulties, like the president has highlighted a few minutes ago. From losing both of my biological parents before the age of 3, forced out of my home and country in Congo DR, where I was born. And I was forced to stay in a different country for 8 years as a refugee. It almost feels impossible to sit in the same room with you all. Everyone you meet in life has a background, and some may have experienced a different version of life, walked thousands and thousands of miles, wearing shoes, seeking freedom, and those shoes that they wear, if they could speak, they would scream instead. Throughout life, I've been given several reasons to give up. I was deprived of education, healthcare, and lots of other basic needs. There was no hope, no motivation, no ambitions, and I bought into the idea that I was nothing. But then a sudden turn of events occurred in 2014 when I was 13 years of age. I came to the United States. And while on the way, I found myself falling in love with planes. This love was the birth of my dream to become an airline pilot in the future. And I never knew that this dream would change many aspects of my life or inspire me to challenge and demand nothing but the absolute best from myself. It's amazing how people can change because of who or what they love. Your love can become your motivation and the reason to thrive and transcend past all the obstacles. The love of flying made me want to improve every aspect of myself. I started enjoying school, and somehow I fell in love with math, which I hated before. I became a lover of reading and learning. I started participating in sports, and I never wanted to miss a class or any homework. I went from a miserable kid to a plane at full thrust. I learned from my experience that dreams and passions can unleash children and make them thrive in the face of adversity. This is true for me because fast forward 8 years later, I graduated both middle and high school as a salutatorian and started attending Arizona State University, where I'm currently a senior, majoring in air transportation. And then there's one more thing. When I was in 9th grade, I found out that I enjoyed reading Shakespeare's books, and it inspired me to become a writer or venture in writing. But I was afraid because English is neither my first or second language, it's my third language. And this bothered me because I thought no one would be interested in my craft. So I read a lot to improve my grammar and composition. I started to work on my first book in 10th grade, wrote 2 different templates worth 200 pages, but I dumped all of them because I thought they were not good enough. And somewhere deep down, I was entertaining the idea that no one would be interested in my writings. However, in 2018, I gave it another shot. I started writing again. And in 2019, I published my first book. And I challenged myself to publish a book every year until God knows when. Today, standing before you, I have 4 books published, and there are many more to come. It's unbelievable. I always say that if one were to connect the dots back to where I was born in villages of Congo to where I am right now, it is beyond the bounds of possibility. But it's true that our past cannot determine our future. And I always like to pass this message to everyone that if you have a dream, always fight for it. If you have a passion for something, never let it go. Potential cannot accurately be measured, and no one can limit your success if you absolutely refuse to give up. If you believe in yourself, no matter how old or where you're from, you can turn your life around. I was just a refugee kid 8 years ago, but now I'm a man with unbelievable stories to tell. I used to think that the sky is the limit, like many people say. But then I realized that the limit is myself, my mind, because it's the only thing that can stop me. Once you conquer your mind, you can conquer anything. Today, I stand before you as a miracle and as someone who has beaten the odds. Because of hard work and resilience, I went on to become just the opposite of what my past could predict. Now I fully understand that nothing is impossible, especially with God, and that if you ask if you ask him for something and work hard and be patient, he can give it to you. Life always comes with several sets of challenges, trials, and tribulations. But all these are stepping stones. And no matter what that comes your way, always know that you can win, that you can beat the odds, like I did. Thank you all. May God bless you.